There are a growing number of Masters in Management programs now available at the leading US business schools, and the Fuqua Business School at Duke was among the pioneers. They launched the MMS about 10 years ago. It's an amazing springboard for the next steps of your career, a 10-month STEM designated program, but better that you find out from people that know the program incredibly well. So it's a pleasure to welcome Grady Arneo. He's the Program Director of Admissions for the MMS. And Steph Zempelik. Steph, a Duke undergrad. She studied international comparative studies. We'll be talking about the diversity now in the MMS classroom, and then served with distinction as a cadet in the US Army. Welcome, both of you. Grady, perhaps we'll start with you. And before we look specifically at the MMS, Fuqua, an extraordinary school, great place to work. I'm sure great place to come and study. Tell us about what makes it so special for you.
Oh, it's a fantastic place. I'm coming up on my 6 year work anniversary being here, and I've really enjoyed the opportunities that I've had being able to work with amazing students year over year. Steph being one of the ones that I get to work with regularly now, as she is part of our ambassador team. But each one brings a unique talent and interest to the business school environment, and reading those applications, seeing why they want to come and study here is always so exciting. So I think what we have here is people that all want to go towards a common purpose, and doing business for good is at the true core of that. So that's something that we see in our applicants and in our current students and in our alums. They all are rallying around doing something that they want to do and they feel a passion for. And at the center of that is doing it for a good reason and a good cause. And you'll hear us talk about Team Fuqua quite a bit. It's probably going to be in 4 out of our 5 answers that we give. But it's a really core part to not only what the students experience, but what we experience as staff and what we experience as faculty. Everyone operates on a team. I'm constantly within my team channels talking to them and getting a sense of, okay, what do we need to do today? Can you help me with this? Can I help you with that? And we're all just trying to do what we can to the best of our abilities on a daily basis for our teammates. So I think that's really at the core of what we believe here at Fuqua and what makes it so unique and fun to work at.
Well, of course, Steph and her classmates also get to share the campus with the full-time MBA students and a variety of a portfolio of programs. But Grady, where does the MMS fit? Because it is more sort of early career stage. Who is the program best suited for?
Yeah, so it's really designed for students that are pre-experienced. And what we define as pre-experienced are people with no work experience. And we only count work experience if you've had full-time work experience. So if you graduated or prior to coming to undergrad, you worked full-time, we'd count that. But if you haven't had any full-time work experience or about anywhere less than about 2 years of work experience, that's what we count as pre-experienced. So students that are fitting that mold and then wanting a business degree, whether they have a business undergrad or not, this is going to give them that extra bump and opportunities to learn business from the graduate school here at Duke. So it's a really great opportunity for students to get that little bit more knowledge, even if they do have a business background, to amplify their career and then jump into the market. So that's where we are finding our sweet spot. After about 2 or 3 years of work experience, you start getting into that MBA range if one program's better for you than the other. And we're happy to have those conversations with students, but it's really for those pre-experienced students where we find our perfect opportunity for Fuqua to come to these MMS programs.
Right. The viewers at Centre Court, they know that I'm still trying to find my own career path. But do you and your colleagues in admissions, are candidates expected to have a clear sense of career, or is that something they're really going to explore during the program?
Yeah, I think you'll hear from Stefan a little bit about what that looks like. But we hope that they explore. We definitely want to see them set goals before they apply. So you might come in and say, I want to go into finance and do this and that. But you might come in, take that finance course, and that is not in your wheelhouse. But something else that you take the next term is right in your wheelhouse and exactly what you want to do, or someone experienced in a field or in an internship shine some light on something that you never thought about, and that opens your eyes to a new opportunity. So having those diverse backgrounds and diverse experiences is really important to what we create at Fuqua, because you're going to be able to learn from so many people that will add to that experience and add to those thoughts that you're having on your career. And it's great to have a goal coming in and see that goal shift. And if it doesn't shift, that's totally fine too. That means you were able to get through the program and you were able to accomplish your goals. But we imagine most people's goals will shift even a little bit. If it was going from, I want to work at this specific company to a different company, we'll see that happen quite a bit just by the opportunities and experiences that they have throughout the time they're here.
Well, Steph, I guess you knew Duke really well through undergrad,
Yeah.
but there weren't many business courses on that transcript. What was your thinking? Because also, with your US Army experience, think, well, business school, next steps, career path. Talk us through what you were thinking.
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting. I had a couple family members come through Duke, and they had almost kind of warned me. They're like, well, they don't have a business major, which coming from Virginia, like most of the schools do. So Duke doesn't have an undergraduate degree business major. So I thought, okay, I'm going into the Army at the time is what I thought. And so I knew I want to do something with intelligence. So I thought history, I'll learn how to learn how to write, which I think will be really interesting. And then international comparative studies, because in the off chance that I do go into maybe international consulting, like management consulting, that could be possibly useful. But anyways, I got to senior year. I hadn't taken many quantitative classes. I think I took a couple econ during COVID, which was definitely interesting since everything was online. But I ended up having some surgery, so I was no longer eligible for the Army. So I had those 4 years of training, which was really, really cool. And I had met a lot of former and now like MBA students who were at Fuqua. And I had known a fifth year cadet who was at MMS program. And his plan was kind of, I'm going to go into the Army for 4 years. And then I'm going to eventually come back, do my AMBA, which is an accelerated program. And then I really want to get into finance or consulting, because obviously if you're in the Army for 4 years, you're not getting that business background. So anyway, in my year off, after the Army, after kind of like leaving that, I thought, okay, what do I really want to do? And I knew I wanted to get into some type of service. So I thought I really want to go into an NGO or do some type of business that actually does good, kind of like you guys were mentioning earlier. And I thought maybe consulting, maybe marketing. And I was looking at MMS, and it was just like the most perfect fit. I think anyone who's kind of coming from a military background or like a team center background, if you played athletics, Fuqua was like the most team oriented program I was able to find. So like I kept seeing Team Fuqua everywhere, and I was like, I kind of know what that means. I had a friend that had come through the program. But I just thought, okay, it has the academics I want. I'm not a business experience professional, so I'm going to learn all those basics now. I already know that I love team-centered environments, and most of the work I do here, a lot of it is individual, but I have a set team for the semester or for each term. And it doesn't change over till January. So I get to like build those connections and really have a collaborative experience with new people and people who have completely different backgrounds from different countries. And so kind of all of that together, I was like, this is the place for me. And that's how I decided to come here, specifically with no background.
Well, we're 2 for 2, Grady, on Team Fuqua,
Yeah.
and we're only 10 minutes in. That mindset and collaborating together is that something that employers also comment? That of course they've got great technical skills, but this ability to work in diverse cross-cultural teams, is that feedback you often get?
I think it all comes back to us in a positive environment, that when our students graduate and they become employees of these companies, or they did an internship while they're at Fuqua through our MBA program, there's definitely that feedback that we get from employers that it's a really good environment. And alumni will still talk about Team Fuqua. I had drinks with a few of our recent alums, and they still talk about how great their team was and how nice it was that they're part of a team now in their company, but they had that experience while they were here in a safer environment where you're not going to get thrown onto a new team all of a sudden and expect to perform crazy results right away, like you might in an employer. They're going to be able to kind of get that sense of, oh, here's how I jump on a team and here's how I act in a team. So those experiences really parlay well to being an employee at a company, and that feedback's definitely gotten back to us, and employers tend to like that as well.
Yeah. How is the program structured, Steph, in terms of the core curriculum and then electives that you can take as you think about marketing or different fields? What does a typical semester look like?
Yeah, so the terms are about 6 weeks long, so they do kind of fly by, especially if you're new to finance like I am. But so they basically kind of spread. It's obviously kind of the first year of an MBA is how I describe it to a lot of people. But so the core curriculum and then these electives, everything's required. Obviously, no one has different classes, everyone takes the same, but they kind of try to spread it out. So first semester, I had introduction, I believe it was statistics, financial accounting, and then we had business communication. So we had two really finance and math heavy subjects, and then they kind of evened it out with, okay, how are you public speaking? How are you creating slide decks and presentations in a group setting? And then last semester, or excuse me, I would say semester. Last term we had a little bit different. We had introduction to capital markets, marketing. And so it was a little bit more math heavy, but then I was like, okay, I kind of have a little bit of a break and a little bit of an opportunity to learn something I'm really interested in with marketing. And it was great too, because with your teams, you have to do cases. And so I'm a history major and I have an accounting major on my team, and then a stats major, and then another liberal arts. And so we kind of got to manage that time. So I had one person who would really kind of help explain and help me learn almost outside of in the classroom. Okay, how am I approaching this case? And then I would able to be, okay, in marketing, we're focusing on how they're going to expand a toilet paper company in Spain in the early 2000s. And so it was just really cool stuff like that. And it was very cool. You got to kind of show your skills, and then you kind of also learn by teaching others. But so the structure of the courses, it's very balanced, I would say. It can be a little math heavy at times, but I think with a STEM designated curriculum, that's kind of what you're getting in for. But this semester is exciting. We have corporate finance, which again, I was a little nervous about, but we have great teachers. And I think kind of coming off of, you have a really heavy and intensive course with capital markets. And then you're kind of saying, okay, how does that actually interact with like real world CFOs and real world planning, or if you want to go into finance? So I think it's a great structure, and also how they order it is also really, really smart.
Right. Is there a favorite class? Well, favorite class, but also you talk about sort of public speaking. Are you mindful that in addition to some of the technical skills that you're developing, that there are more intangible skills, even just self-confidence? Is that something that you notice in yourself?
Yeah, I think coming from having 4 years with ROTC in the Army, like I definitely had to practice a lot of that self-confidence and that public speaking. But I think the business communication class that we took, where we mainly did that, I think it was really cool because I had there was a girl on my team and she just really struggled with her confidence to kind of get up there and speak, just because English was her second language. She can speak it really, really well, but kind of just that I'm a little nervous because I know the material, but I don't want it to come off as like wrong or a little bit off. And so it was really cool. Like our team would kind of work with her outside of the class, and she would practice with us. And it was just really cool. Like her confidence really grew, which like, again, I always thought that was really intangible and something you can't necessarily teach. And I think just kind of with like support from your group and also practice. It was really cool to kind of see her come along, and like, she was so confident by the end of the course, and she spoke for 15 minutes in our class presentation and like took answers that I like usually would take in the beginning of the course. So I think intangibles is something your teacher kind of expresses, but I think really your teammates will be like, hey, I noticed this, and this, and this is what I think employers would really look at. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we talk about a transformative experience, Grady. I mean, is it something that you see? You've met them through the admissions process, and then they show up, and then a year flies by, and you watch them graduating. Can you really tell the difference between, that class that you welcomed, and then when you see them heading off to new opportunities?
Yeah, the growth that they have is incredible. It's really, it brings probably the most joy to admission staff because we get to work with them from such an early stage. Use get to meet some of them 2 years in advance before they even start applying. So we know them for a while before they get into the process. And then once they're here and that process starts taking off, it's amazing to see how much they grow and learn and develop their skills and meet people throughout the world. There's some people that have never left the United States, and now they have friends all over the world. That is really exciting. Or their first time in the US is this program, and now they have friends throughout the country that they can go and visit, or throughout the world they can go and visit. So those experiences are really cool to see. And originally when I got into higher education after undergrad, I was working with undergraduate students who you don't get to see that payoff until they go from freshmen or seniors in high school all the way to seniors in college, and this is a much quicker reward. So it's been really exciting to see how quickly they develop and what those changes are and how much they grow. And some of them start relationships. And I know I have a signed thing on my wall over here from students from the class of 2020 that met in the program. They were in MQM and MMS, and now they're engaged and getting married soon. So it's really cool to see those things develop over the time and have them grow.
Yeah, the wedding invitations in the years that follow,
Yeah.
great way to stay in touch with everybody. And perhaps parallel to all of this stuff, as you think about finance, marketing, NGOs, so many different options. How do you then work with the Career Management Center, to think about both your passions and interests, the skills that you have, and the direction that you might take?
Yeah, I think everyone's experience, so from what I've seen so far, has been really different, but kind of right out of the gate, even before we had orientation day, Career Management Center offered like an intro, get to know all of us opportunity. And so that was the first day I really interacted with people. And so I came in and it was really great. Everyone, one, is so inviting, but two, they really make it's your journey. I think it's graduate school and they really want you to kind of take control of it with their support, and like you're driving the car, but they're kind of help you like finding the guideposts. So for me personally, I have like set up individual schedules with them. I've used the online resources. So I had met with a counselor in the beginning of, I believe, August, because at this point I kind of realized, okay, I don't think I want to do consulting. And I had chatted with her. And so she sent me online and I took a couple different tests. I talked with her about my passions, my goals, how I learn, how I don't learn, what I really value in a company, and like what my long-term 5 to 10 year goals are. And so on a more personal level, they're open anytime. I could set up like 4 meetings this week if I really wanted to. But kind of in addition to that, they go out of their way to set up different seminars and different opportunities to meet people from different companies. And kind of along with that, I think I didn't even have this in undergrad. We have a resume deadline and like different kind of deadlines for them to really go over, okay, how do you want to tell your story? Or what could be better about your resume? Because they really want to set you up with the best success. So for me, I personally like meeting with a counselor more. So it was a lot of, okay, I'm getting all this help with my whatever kind of documents you want to put those into, my cover letter, my story. But I really like to talk through clearly what they think would be a good journey for me or possible avenues. And it was really, really cool too, because they're working with people who are 5 years down the line and have maybe had a job, but are looking to make that career switch. And so I even got networking setups with other people that had come through Fuqua that I may not have connected with. So it's all very different for someone with the career coach. I think it's kind of what you make it, but I've had an amazing experience so far.
Steph talks about networks, Grady, and the Fuqua alumni network, both regionally, nationally, and as you were saying earlier, internationally, all over the world. Becoming part of that network, how can that also create opportunities? Are they regularly in touch with the school, and this is what's going on at their companies, or thinking about how both the MMS and the MBA students might then benefit from the many connections that they also have?
Absolutely. A number of them will reach out when there is an opportunity available. I can think back to when our most recent residential program was created, our MQM program, and there was the first class of students that got out of the program, and then they were in their careers, and they're like, I want to hire more MQM students. So they're giving us some of the not preferential, but they're like, here, this job's coming available. Definitely apply to it, and hopefully we'll be able to get more of students like you into this program. So there's definitely that interest from the alumni to continue to help support the current students and the future students that come into Fuqua. They will do interviews for us, so they're trying to make sure that everyone that's stepping into their footsteps is going to be the same quality, if not better. And I think that's a really great opportunity for you get to meet the alumni sometimes through the admissions experience, but also throughout the time you're in the program, and that's valuable. I was at a coffee chat with students on Thursday of last week, and I was in New York, randomly had my table banner set up with Duke Fuqua, come chat with us. A few people signed up, And all of a sudden, alum's at the same coffee chat. And he's like, "I went there. It's a great school. You have to go." And I was like, "This is great to see." I didn't plan for him to be there, but it worked out perfectly. I think there's just a sense of the team environment that you get part of, and you have that pride of being a Duke alum and a Fuqua alum that holds true to you, no matter where you go.
Well, I mean, Steph was saying earlier, as she looked at the program and where she was coming from, it just seemed like the perfect fit. When you're talking to possible applicants and they're thinking, well, do I jump in with the Masters in Management now, or I could wait, 2, 3 years for the MBA? What advice do you have for them in terms of not just finding the right program, but the right school, the right culture where they're
Yeah.
really going to thrive and flourish?
Yeah, obviously we'd want everyone to come to Fuqua. It's a great school and we hope they get the most out of it, but it's not going to be the best fit for everyone. So it's really important to talk to the current students that are in the program and talk to the alumni of the program to see, hey, is this the right fit for me? Do I feel like I belong there? Because there are so many schools out there that finding that belonging is so important, and you can do that no matter whether it's here or somewhere else. Making sure that you feel connected to it is going to be the most important part to where you select, because 10 months might feel really quick, but it can drag if you don't enjoy the experience that you're part of. And as far as what's the best choice for the students, it's really comes down to what kind of career are you looking for? Do you want just to get the master's out of the way and be done with school and then maybe come back and do an accelerated program, or you meet a roadblock and you're like, oh, the MBA is the right choice for me, but you already have that slight leg up on other people that are just coming from an undergrad experience, that can be a good choice to do the MMS program and do a pre-experience program, because you have that study mentality. You're ready to stay in that student mindset. Pivoting back to a student mindset can be challenging, as I'm sure if you talk to MBA students, they'll tell you it can be a little wobbly when you first start, but you get back into it eventually if you want to stay in that mindset and get through the program quickly and have a career in 10 months that you may not have had an option for finishing undergrad, but now you have plentiful options and hopefully the right choice for you, then this program can be the best choice for you.
Right. Is there a sense, Steph, of I don't know if imposter syndrome is the best way to describe it, but people kind of think now, business school, it's not the right place for me, or it might be, too quant driven. But actually, based on your experience, it's like, no, that those barriers really they're in your head, but that's not the reality.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think coming from Duke undergrad, I was on a lacrosse team, and a lot of people would do this program because it's so amenable also to people who are in athletics, and they really like kind of go out of their way to like make sure that they can also attend classes, which I think is like an amazing aspect of the program because it only enhances diversity. But I watched so many teammates go through it, and I was like, there's nothing for me in that program. Like I would not pass that program. The quantitative aspect of it is just like not for me. And then come July, I'm enrolled in this program and I was so excited, but I was like, oh gosh, like I spent kind of 2 years thinking that this wasn't going to be a good program. And it's just not true. Like I think everyone does experience a little bit of that. I think I've found myself in stats or in capital markets being like, what is happening right now? But I have so much help around me. Like I think the professors here really go out of their way. I've gotten so much one-on-one time. I've gotten access to different tutors. And honestly, I know I said it earlier, I think there's so much like resource and help to be found in the students around you. I think one of my really good friends that I've made here, she had a year in investment banking and didn't really love it and wanted to transition. And like, she helped me so much in capital markets. And then I really helped her in another like business communication class. So I think there is a bit of that imposter syndrome, but I think this is a program where if you put in the work, there is help all around you. And I think it's also a program designed again for people with no business background. And so it's going to take you kind of from the beginning. It's going to be fast 6-week terms, but your teachers are there to help you and they're going to push you. And I don't know, I think it's a really great experience to see like how much you can learn and how little time, but also, I don't know, how much you learn from others as well as yourself.
Do you have any advice to yourself? If you think about, Steph that showed up on day one, and I don't know if this is about sort of time management and prioritize, because presumably there are way more things that you could do in the day than you could possibly fit in. What would you advise yourself?
I think I had a pretty good mindset in terms of like not being afraid to ask questions that I thought were dumb or not being afraid to kind of show like, okay, I'm not very strong in this. But I think from the get-go with my team, I think that I would really, I don't know, I always spoke up in group projects, but I think I'd be like, hey, I want you to kind of explain this topic for like from A to Z in your own terms, like not even using the slides or the PowerPoints. Obviously, those are really helpful, but I think there's just so much to get from the students around you. So I think I probably would have picked like my accounting account or my accounting major's brain a little bit more. And I think I also like we get Excel prep before we come here. So that was really, really helpful. But I probably would, I don't know, I think just like do a little bit more. I think repetition, repetition, repetition. And so I think with like specific statistics, if I could go back, I'd probably be like, all right, let's spend an extra hour per week and just like practice inputting those models in Excel. But honestly, I think I got through it and I was really proud of myself for getting through it and doing well. So yeah.
Right. And there aren't enough hours in the week, Grady. Tell us about the business school within the university, the community. I mean, again, so many opportunities either for leadership and different clubs and activities, but just a lot that's going on around the school and culturally. So give our viewers a sense of life in Durham.
Yeah, I think Steph can definitely speak to this too. She spent a number of years in Durham, so I definitely want to give her some shine on this one. But I'll give a brief overview with what you can get involved in. I think there's so much, not only at Fuqua, we have our own clubs and organizations, which you, as an MMS student, can get involved in. Typically, the clubs that are more social based and less career oriented, just because most of those are run by MBA students. So there's numbers that you can get involved in, a number of organizations you get involved in while you're here. And you can create your own if that's something that you're interested in. So if you're really interested in finance and you have a number of students with you that want to create a group together, you can do that while you're in the program for a short period of time. So that's a really good opportunity to show some leadership opportunities. But there, as Steph mentioned, there's a number of athletes in the program, and we're probably the closest school to our athletic complex on West Campus. So that's just a quick walk up the hill if you want to get to Cameron Indoor Stadium or Wallace Wade Stadium and experience what athletics is like at a D1 level, and seeing that combination of great academics and great athletics that Duke has is really special and really exciting to see those students that you're going to be on a team with also going to be performing on a team together on a Wednesday night at the basketball court or at a football stadium on Saturday. So those types of things are really special and really cool to be part of, and it creates a really great atmosphere that people outside of Duke know what Duke is a lot of the times, because not only the great alumni that we have, but also the great athletics that we have. And they're featured on national TV quite a bit, so that gives us quite a name too. And Steph mentioned that she is part of the lacrosse team, which is always top notch. So it's always exciting to see those students perform not only in academics but also athletics. So that creates an environment. There's plenty of performances and events to go on campus. There's a lot of speakers that will come onto campus, so you can learn from the best and the brightest in their fields. And there's a lot to do and take in. And you're here for a short period of time. You have your coursework to worry about, your career search to worry about, but taking in the community is also so important to what makes the Duke experience the Duke experience. But I'd love to hear from Steph what her favorite part of living in Durham is.
Yeah.
What can you publicly share, Steph?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because I got here and I was like, I'd had a year off and I really missed Durham. I'm like a state away, but a lot of teachers in their Canvas, which is kind of like our online course sites, will include their favorite restaurants or favorite things to do, which I always love. Like they really want to encourage people to get out. But now that I'm not on a team and I'm like, I want to say, I'd probably say two things. One, on campus, I love a basketball game. We have an amazing basketball team. And like, that's the one everyone says. And like, I'm a little biased because I was on a sports team, but the basketball atmosphere is so cool here. They have this entire event for grad students that I did this year. It was the first time I was able to do it, where you camp out for possible season tickets. And so a bunch of the Fuqua kids, a bunch of the law school kids, the environmental science students, like all got to tent together and have this really cool experience. And I just don't think you find that a lot of other places, like that intersectionality between different schools and between different students. So that was one thing I love, in addition to just like the games are so electric and so fun. But I think outside of Durham, I don't I don't know. A lot of people love to go to like Raleigh and go to the NASCAR museum in Charlotte. There's a lot of things, but I would say, I don't know, I think it's a very walkable and like outdoor. This is hard to like narrow down. I'd probably say the restaurants. I love the restaurants here in Durham. I think I'm from DC, and so I think I get very spoiled up there. But it's really cool. There's so much culture, there's so much history when you're walking downtown. And so my friends and I this term have been like, we're gonna hit a different restaurant every 3 days and kind of like taste test and see what we like, see what we don't like. And that's been really cool. And usually we'll like talk to the owners and kind of see when they started in Durham. But Durham is a very like interesting historical city. So I always encourage people, I'm like, go talk to people who own these stores, go talk to museum, like everyone. But restaurants are probably like my top. Pizza's great.
And my former teammate created a bucket list of things to do in Durham.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
if you're ever on campus and you're looking what to do in Durham, stop by the admissions office and we can give you one of these and you can check it off. So
Well,
there's a lot to do here.
that's a long bucket list. It's a great segue, because my final question was obviously with the viewers and your passion and enthusiasm for the program. Next steps, finding out more about the program, about the school. It'd be great if everyone could come and visit you and take in a basketball game or some of those restaurants. But Grady, what do you recommend? Just to find out, start with the website and then different options to connect with the school.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing you should do is check out the website, and don't just start at our website, go to other websites too and see what options are out there for programs similar to us and see which one fits your interests the most. And then all schools typically will have a virtual information session presence. We do attend a virtual session. We'll have panels with students like Steph on it, talking about their experience, why they chose Fuqua, what they like about it, what their career outcomes they're hoping for. We'll invite alumni back to do a YouTube series called Master and Market, which I host. So feel free to find that, like and subscribe it to feel free. And I think those types of things are key to making sure you have the right fit in the programs that you're applying for. And then once you find that fit and you feel like you're ready to go to the next steps, reaching out to us. You can contact us on email or by phone, and we're happy to have conversations with you about your next steps and what we're looking for in your application. And if you have concerns about your application, talking through those. At the end of the day, we want you to pick the best school that fits your interests and your needs, and we're happy to guide you on that way.
Great. And a final word, Steph, whether you're a history major or astrophysics, whatever the background, just perhaps, your own encouragement. It's a big step, it's an investment in yourself, but, it was clearly a great choice for you. So how would you encourage others?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think entering any grad school can be kind of scary, very daunting. Like, should I get to a job now? Am I wasting my money? Like, whatever that fear might be. I don't know. I think listen to what you really want to do. And if this is something that you think is going to set you up for a possible like long-term job or long-term career you really want, don't be afraid to do it. And I think with any grad school, but specifically Duke, like you are going to meet some of the most amazing people. So even if you come out of here and you end up with a job or a career that you're like, maybe this isn't my forever career, I'm going to transition out of it, the connections and the experience you make or have, the connections you make. And I think just the knowledge you're going to obtain from this program is so useful across other different career fields or like dreams you might have for your life, that I just say like, it's so worth it. I go honestly have a great time. I think even coming from an undergrad, a really intense experience, like it's intense, but it's so worthwhile. And you kind of get those rewards and like those satisfactions every 6 weeks, if not every week with your team. So I would just say, jump in, go for it. It's a great experience. And no matter what, you're going to have an amazing, amazing time, meet amazing people.
Well, it's great that our viewers get to start with both of you to find out more about the school and, the energy and enthusiasm that you have. So, Steph, thank you for having the schedule that meant that you could join us. Grady, it was great to welcome you to Center Court. Thank you, both of you, for being with us.
Thank you so much, Matt.